This is a demo to show how setting a derived state from useEffect can cause a re-render. This is a correct approach where it doesn't cause it, and this is an incorrect approach where it does. We'll take a look at the code first. What is different? In the correct approach, we have the date context, the context within which all of these components lie. And when a date is updated, right at that moment, we also calculated whether it's a Tuesday or not, and then set that as well. Being Tuesday is a big deal for this app. Everything is around being Tuesday. That extra calculation we do right then, and we set the isTuesday flag as well. All of these other cards, when we change it from nothing to, let's say, not being a Tuesday, one render for all the cards that are dependent on the date and whether it's Tuesday or not. And when we go back, also a single render. The logs will also show a single render every time we go between these two values. Let's go and take a look at the incorrect approach. In this case, when we are setting here from 1, the count goes to 2, which is because right now it was isTuesday is still false, and it falls the second time as well. So even though useEffect triggered, nothing happened. But now let's say what happens when it changes its state from is false to is true. Notice the render count is 2 right now. It actually renders everything twice. And this card actually also has API calls and all, so there's multiple renders happens between the loading state and whatnot. So it pays twice the price. But essentially, this is the crux of the matter here, that after an useEffect, there is a render cycle one more time, right? And we can see it again when we go from isTuesday to not isTuesday, 2 render cycles again. It's triggered, we have to update the change all of these renders, and so the cost of re-rendering will be shared by all the components that read into that context. So it's not just that one single component that is actually setting that state based on the date change. Every other component is paying the price too. Other things that happens because of the extra renders. Let's take a look at this API, right? So we set it to network, and we clear this up here. Now, when we go to the same state right now, and then come back here, then now we have 2 API calls that happen here as the state changes. So from isTuesday to not as Tuesday, there are 2 API calls, because the way the API calls are set for this guy is it reads into the select date and isTuesday. And when they change separately, in the first render cycle, the date changes. In the second render cycle, isTuesday changes. Then there are 2 API calls. So that's another performance impact. And also, this could also lead to race conditions if the first API call actually will succeed after the second one. Then the data that will be displayed here based on the parameters will also be incorrect. So that's another side effect, that is sometimes this derived state changes. Now the third thing I wanted to show was computation. Let's go back here, and we'll also have a card that is heavy computation, could actually block the thread also. So this card I'm just displaying conditionally now, and let's see what happens when I set the date for the first time. It is one computation, so we have to wait a long time, but only once. But when we actually go to the incorrect approach, and we keep this on, when we set it for this is right now false, and it will still be false. Remember that it's still going to be 1 render cycle. But now when isTuesday changes, you'll see that there's actually twice the amount that you have to wait. Instead, we had to wait for the first computation to finish. That's the additional cost or performance degradation that we could have avoided if we did not rely on useEffect. is it about derived state? It's actually more about useEffect itself. It has this drawbacks. That's why we only use it when the situation demands for it. We do not. Using it for setting derived state can cost a lot of performance degradation, and the degradation will depend on the component tree, how many components are there and what they actually do. But it could also create other kinds of confusion that I talked about here.